The stem and leaf plot below gives the ages of 31 people attending a meeting about a government proposal not to grant medical cards to all people over the age of 70. So this is our stem, this is our leaf, this is our key. So for example, 6 with a line and 6 represents 66. So for example, this 1 here represents 51, this 4 here represents 54, this 4 here represents 64, this 6 here represents 66, this 2 here represents 72, this 5 here represents 75, and so on. We need to calculate Q1, the lower quartile, Q3, the upper quartile, and the interquartile range. The interquartile range is very easy. We just take one from the other. We just take the lower quartile from the upper quartile. Okay, so let's start off by finding Q1, the lower quartile. So step 1, count the number of leaves on the stem and leaf plot. So if we count the number of leaves, altogether we have 31 leaves in total. So the word quartile sounds like quarter. So to find the lower quartile, or Q1, the first quarter, we have to get a quarter of the total. So a quarter of 31. So a quarter of 31, we can either multiply a quarter by 31 or divide 31 by 4. Either way, we get 7.75. This is clearly not a whole number, so what we have to do is round up to the nearest whole number. This is very, very important. We always round up when we're dealing with quartiles. So for example, if we had gotten 7.1 or 7.2, and which you naturally would go to round down, in this case we would always round it up to the next whole number. So whenever you're dealing with quartiles and you get a number that's not a whole number, you always round up. So 7.75 rounded up to the nearest whole number is 8. So we have to find the 8th value in the plot. So 8 is not the lower quartile. That's very, very important. The 8th value is. So we have a look at our leaf. So we start with the very first leaf, which is a 1, which represents 51. And we count along until we find the 8th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that 9 there is the lower quartile and it represents 59. So that 9 there is the 8th value and it's the lower quartile and it represents 59 years. So Q1 is 59. So part 2, we need to find Q3, the upper quartile. So again, quartile sounds like quarter. So we have to find 3/4 of the amount of values. So again, we've got 31 people in total. So we get 3/4 of 31. We can either say 3/4 multiplied by 31 or else 31 divided by 4 multiplied by 3. Either way, we get 23.25. Again, this is not a whole number, so we have to round up to the nearest whole number. So 23.25 rounded up to the nearest whole number is 24. 24 is not the upper quartile. The 24th value is the upper quartile. So we find the 24th value in the plot, which is 72. So again, we count along from the start until we find the 24th value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 72 is our Q3 or our upper quartile. So 72, this is the upper quartile, so Q3 equals 72 years. Part 3 asks us to find the interquartile range. And the interquartile range is just going to be Q3 minus Q1. So the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So it's going to be 72 minus 59, which is 13. So the interquartile range is 13 years.